The Footy Wrap-Up is back for 2024. We'll go through all the action from AFL Round 0 and the opening round of the NRL season. Yeah, that's right. NRL on the Footy Wrap-Up. That's a thing now. I'll run you through the big news. Came out from both the Aussie rules world and the rugby league world, and a whole lot more. Welcome to 2024 for the Footy Wrap-Up. Hey guys, welcome to another YouTube video. And yes, the Footy Wrap-Up is back. Some by popular demand, some by unpopular demand. Give or take your opinion. But anyways, it is back for 2024, and I'm hoping this to be more of a regular thing. I was a bit on and off with it throughout 2023, but now I am back with it through 2024, and I've got big plans for the future for this particular series in the coming years. Anyway, so welcome to that. So what the topics are going to be about for tonight? Well, obviously round 0 is just wrapped up. We're gonna have the opening round, or round 1, I should say, of the AFL season, and round 2 of the NRL Telstra Premiership season. So the topics obviously as follows. For the AFL. Did the reigning premiers get a massive reality check? Did we see the worst first half of all time? And also for the NRL, new coach for the Titans, but the same story there. Plus, also two unfortunate players, one sadly out with ACL injuries. Speaking of which, there are injuries aplenty after the opening round of the NRL season. And also, do we ask the burning question: was AFL's Round 0 and NRL's Vegas games successful? We'll find out all about that. So, let's get this started. Shall we? So, we'll start off with the weekend games. Of course, obviously, there was only for AFL there was only 4 games. Obviously, this weekend, obviously for opening round, but I'll call it Round 0. I know the AFL has said, "Oh, we should not call it Round 0. We should call it the opening round or OP." No. I'm not taking any bullshit from that. I'm going to call it as I please. We're all calling it Round 0. Simple as that. So the first topic of business is, of course, what happened on Saturday night. We'll get to the other Saturday game in a bit. But what did happen, obviously, for Collingwood? Well, obviously, the reigning premiers, obviously, the big buzzword throughout the club, and most importantly from Coach Craig McRae, has been not back to back, but back to work. That's been the main words were for Collingwood, for Magpie Land, and probably thought, possibly we might do what we did last year, but maybe even better. Gee, were they wrong in the biggest way possible? Because let's just say, the reigning premiers, they got their absolute, well, not absolutely, but they got their backsides handed to them by the GWS Giants. Of course, the final margin ended up being 32 points, but at one stage, I think the margin had blown out to, 40 odd points. I think I've read somewhere. Yeah, 52 points at the 12-minute mark of the 12 and a half minutes into the final term. It was 52 points, and it could have been ugly. It could have been very ugly indeed. So yeah, it is worrying for the Collingwood Football Club, not just for the game, but it's a lot of other people have been talking about this talking about this here. I mean, and that's the aging of some of their aging stars like Sidebottom, Pendlebury. Pendlebury at later on in the year will play his 400th AFL game, which I think he would be. I think it was KB. And it was Michael Tuck. Then. I think fifth player in VFL AFL history to play 400 games, and the first one in Collingwood colours. So yeah, I mean, looking at their side, obviously, of course, they don't have Dan McStay for most of the season, quite obviously. But it was pretty strange their lineup they put out. I mean. Is Ash Johnson the answer in their forward line? Not really, to be honest. And I don't think Mason Cox. And speaking of Mason Cox, obviously, I hadn't had this down in my notes, obviously, of topics to talk about. But obviously, because obviously it was announced yesterday, I believe, that he'd been given a reprimand for an incident where he tried to bowl over big Shane Mumford, and yeah, and it was well known. I'm kind of on the side of basically. I sort of like that in a way. It was sort of. Well, if you're a GWS fan, you'll probably hate it, but it's Mason Cox, obviously, to be honest, but for me, I'm in a situation where obviously it was mentioned again so many times throughout the weekend on many shows like the Sunday Footy Show and Footy Classified on Monday. That it's. That doing that is one thing. You need to back it up, and Mason Cox doesn't have that ability. That's the problem. I mean, doing that and backing it up, getting a 5-goal haul or something like that. It doesn't. You get away with that. It was scrutiny from the media, but if you don't back it up and have no influence on the game whatsoever, which Mason Cox did. To be honest, which happened with Mason Cox, he had no impact in the game whatsoever. You get to get scrutinised in the media, and that's what happened pretty much. So yeah, so obviously, it was pretty much obvious, really, that. It was pretty much obvious, and then obviously, but other than that, obviously, Nick Dacos had the usual 34 touches, same thing really, as I said, it's pretty interesting, really. As I said, is Ash Johnson and Mason Cox their answers down forward? I kind of don't think so, and speaking of that obviously, Lockie Schultz, did he play the? I thought he was okay, to be honest, in his first game in Collingwood colours. I thought he was okay. He didn't really, for me, set the world on fire, to be honest. But yeah. I mean, out of all those players that played on last Saturday night, the only guy that would hold their head up high is Nick Dacos. That's it for me. That's it. I mean, Tom Mitchell, he got subbed out. He got subbed out of the game. Bobby Hill, he. I wonder how he went. Bobby Hill. Hang on. So Bobby Hill, he pretty much had. Well, he was there with 2 goals, but really didn't set the world on fire like he did on grand final day last year. I mean, Quaynor. A quiet game from him down back. Quiet game from him. I mean, DeGoey, he was okay, but nothing really special, really. But yes, and then Myercheck, he was good for them with 3 goals. Good for them with 3 goals, but it was just about it. I think he and Dacos would really, hold their head high with this game. The others, not so much, to be honest. And after one game, they're already behind the 8. Already behind the 8 ball. I'm not seriously worried about them just yet because obviously they got, of course they got the side. Obviously that won last year, but this is not the way to start your premiership defense. It's not a good way to start it, pretty much, really. But yeah, and what was more convincing of this whole reality check thing was Craig McRae's press conference after the game. It sounded the words the buzzword that everyone was saying. Even Matthew Lloyd said it on Monday night on Footy Classified that he'd never seen Craig McRae that flustered on the sideline, and I kind of had to agree because unlike plenty of times when his sides were like 4 or 5 goals down, he would pull an ace up his sleeve and just basically play it and then just go bang 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 and they win the game. That didn't happen. Or in the case in the Melbourne game last year on King's birthday. I always said Queen's birthday. It's actually King's birthday now. On King's birthday, he actually admitted after that game on the King's birthday match last year against Melbourne that they timed their comeback a bit too late. There was no sign of that. There was no sign of that whatsoever. And that press conference he did, it sounded like it sounded like that he and Collingwood had been given a massive reality check, like I said at the start, like a massive reality check. That is true, and I'm also speaking of true. I'm thinking that what Lee Matthews said about Collingwood celebrating too long, I think is true. Because he openly said that he didn't, even when he was at Collingwood, or even of course in that time when he won the three-peat at the Brisbane Lions in 0102 and 03, he didn't. I remember back some years ago. I remember the Brisbane Lions did this series about which is on YouTube, by the way, if you find it, about the speaking about each year. I think I remember Alston did 2001, and then Solomon Black did 2003, but Jonathan Brown mentioned did a description on the 2002 season, and I remember him saying that he said that Lee, in no uncertain terms, wanted to move on from that 01 Premiership and move on to 2002. So he's a guy that thinks forward, not backwards. And clearly his comments, it's true. I think it's true that I think for me, I think Collingwood celebrated that premiership last year a bit too long, to be honest, and it's and they just thought, they would just, do the exact same thing they did to GWS, in the prelim, beat them, and start the season fine, sunshine and rainbows, everything will be all fine and dandy. No, it isn't, and it's going to be interesting this week because they come up against an old teammate, an old Collingwood player of theirs by the name of Brodie Grundy, who absolutely tore Matt Scorn a new one last Thursday night. Yeah, so and if that's Sydney if that's Sydney in the last quarter, which I'll get to Brodie Grundy in a bit. Yeah, I think that's going to be scary for them. But but it's some early a bit of worrying signs really for the Pies really in their first game after their first game of the season. Moving on to events from last Friday night at the Gabba, because obviously the Blue Baggers literally pulled a rabbit out of the hat and really freaking stole the win there, thanks to Harry Mackay, obviously. But not without them trailing by 46 points at, what was it? I think it was at some point in the second term, I think it was at some point in the second... I think it was at some point in the second term, if I can... 46 points at the 18-minute mark of the second term. And then obviously... And then obviously, and then also during this time, also in the second quarter, also during I think it was in the first quarter, I believe it was. Of course, I'll get to, the injuries to Docky and Coleman. Obviously, I'll get to that a bit later. But for some reason, Brisbane just started grinding to a halt, and they just kept on, and they just kept on going and going and going and going and going and I thought basically when Charlie Cameron kicked that goal to make it 46 point, to make it 46, make it 40 odd points up, and I thought, this is over. This is over. This is all over. It's gonna be them winning by 10 goals. It's gonna be them by how far? But in credit to Carlton, they did drag it back before half time. And then in the early stage of the second half, it was the Charlie Curnow show. It's simple as that. For some reason, he was played in the back line, and I'm not quite sure why, to be honest. I know that Jack Silvani's out with injury, and then also Jacob Wiedering's also out injured as well. Really, they could have used somebody else in the back line, to be honest, rather than putting Curnow back. That clearly didn't work. And then Michael Voss just started, why am I putting him down back? Let's put him down forward where he belongs. And in the third term, he just went ballistic. He had only, he only had one goal, which was late in the second term, by the way. Up until half time, and then all of a sudden he had two goals in 3 minutes in that third term. Suddenly pressure's right back on Brisbane. Kennedy kicks a goal. Curnow gets his fourth. Then Carroll gets it to get it back to single digits. And then soon Cottrell kicked the goal, who shined for them in their run to the prelim final last year, kicked them in front. and I was like, and I was watching this like, what the hell am I seeing? And the blue and all the blue and all the Blues fans at the Gabba were going ballistic, absolutely ballistic. But to their credit, obviously, I think Brisbane, were holding on. Brisbane were holding on to adjust, and then I thought that when Joe Danaher got that massive specky over Lewis Young, I thought, oh, Brisbane might just be too strong for them here in a close one, and then before three-quarter time. And then before three-quarter time, Charlie Curnow had the chance for 10 metres out directly in front, missed it. And I was like, what the hell is going on? What on earth? And suddenly, it looked like, from intents and purposes, we all thought, it's going to be, it's going to be a Brisbane lead heading to three-quarter time. That'll be something for Chris Fagan and his men to work with. Suddenly, Charlie's just sprayed it, and it's all gone. Well, Cameron, I should say, has sprayed it right, and pressure's still on them. Suddenly, all of a sudden, they were at one stage they were 46 points down. Now they were 1 point down at three-quarter time. When Zach Bailey kicked that goal, I thought, maybe it's a possibility but for them to edge out a very gutsy win, to be honest. And then Cripps stepped up. Obviously, he kicked the goal with the funny looking thing in his nose, just because the blood nose. Obviously, that was a bit earlier. Looked like he had a minty in his freaking nose, to be honest. But yeah, and then more behinds, and then Charlie Curnow, he kicked his second. Yeah, I know Charlie Curnow and goal. You might as well play Country Road, Take Me Home by now. Country Road, Take Me Home. I was singing both of that, singing that both times Charlie Cameron scored a goal. Let's put it that way. But yeah, and for all that time, we thought, mate, could Brisbane hold on? No, they didn't. Because clutch Harry Mackay arrived, took the mark, kicked the goal, and after that, it was basically camped in Brisbane's forward line, but it wasn't enough, and they ended up losing the game by a point. Did Brisbane shoot themselves in the foot? Kind of shot themselves in the foot, to be honest. In a way, because obviously after Caneen Coleman went down with his injury, which again I'll get to in a bit, but they just looked unsettled in their back line. They just looked unsettled. I've got many criticisms, I believe, for Brisbane. I still think Fagan's a one-trick pony in terms of Harris Andrews, to be honest. Like, in terms of just playing him in one position, that's the fullback position. If you look at that last play when Harry Mackay took the mark before he kicked the goal, I would bet on your life that Harris Andrews, in his mind, probably said to himself, the last thing that I want when this ball comes my way, is me trailing by a couple of trailing someone like Harry Mackay for a couple of meters, then to take the mark in front of me. And lo and behold, he did that. He did that. He just he just gave him far too much room for him to allow him to run and jump at the ball to take the mark there. And they tried everything as well, like hopeful, and they tried other things as well. Like, I hope it's the last time Darcy Gardner plays forward, because he had little to no impact on the game whatsoever besides just thumping the ball forward. That's what his impact was. And then eventually in the last quarter they abandoned that. Fags abandoned that idea and basically put Jackson Pryor forward. I think it was Jackson Pryor. I think it was Jackson Pryor. I'm not quite sure about that. It was someone. No, it was Jack Payne. Sorry. I think it was Jack Payne he sent forward. So yeah, and even though it says here in the lineup that Harris Andrews played centre back, no, he doesn't. That's a lie. No, he doesn't. He basically mostly plays his time as basically a fullback. That's it. That's the only sort of criticism. That's one of the criticism I have, really, and also the misses as well. I mean, the stats shows quite. I mean, after half time, I'll do maths here real quick. Brisbane kicked 3 goals 8 to 9 goals 4 after half time. That was from Carlton, and which is almost the exact same score as Brisbane Lions score at half time, at the halftime break. 9 goals 4 compared to the Brisbane Lions in the first half, 9 goals 5. Yeah, so and all the misses were either from easy distances or from point blank range, pretty much. So I mean, because easily, like, if you're dead in front, even though you're like 40 meters out, or if you're like 10 meters out on a slight angle, you're paid hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to kick that goal, and those sort of goals cost you. Like, you never know. This result might bite them in the backside later on in the year. That does Brisbane. Like last year we all said that about Brisbane when they had that poor performance against Port Adelaide, and lo and behold, they made the grand final. 2021, lost the first 2 games again, made a prelim, made it deep in the finals. So you never know. Maybe it might not, but this might come back to bite. They'd come back to hurt them, to be honest, this game. But you have to take all the credit for Carlton. I mean, they came back, and I've always thought that throughout this off season and pre-season that Charlie Curnow should be the show in the Carlton forward line, to be honest, and no Harry Mackay because of his recent goals. Because of his recent goal kicking form, that was all last year. But watching it, this was one of Harry Mackay's best games for a long time, and it made me think maybe there is a future for Mackay and Curnow as centre forward and full forward in the future, definitely. If Harry produces the exact same thing that he did on last Friday night, and it'll be a massive hand for him. I mean, the well-known, of course. Look at this. So, I mean, yeah, they got others. If you discount Harris Andrews there, of course you got like Ryan Lester, who's also a good interceptor. You got Star Savage. You got Darcy Gardner. But do that? But can they have the ability? I think Jack Payne. I don't think he can, to be honest. And if Harris Andrews is the sole star key back that Brisbane have. The problem would be is Fags, for example, would say, "Oh, you okay, Harris, you start on Charlie Curnow." And then, for example, right, he would keep him to probably maybe like no goals, maybe a behind or two, and then suddenly Mackay's kicked a couple of goals. Then at quarter time, you might think, or does he keep on? Does he keep him on Curnow to keep him goalless again, or with Mackay, or or shut down Mackay? Because but the problem is if he puts him on Mackay to shut him down for the second quarter, then it opens up for Curnow to do his thing. So that is, I think, for me the problem. I think you need a tremendous amount of depth in your back line, to be honest. When you play guys like obviously like obviously like Carlton do with Curnow and Mackay. Who else is there? I'm trying to think of who else would there be. Port Adelaide, for example, with Marshall and Dixon. I'm trying to think of others. Trying to think of. Oh, Brisbane, the main example as well, with Hipwood and Danaher as well. So you need to have really solid, structures in your back line, really, to be honest, and otherwise you're not gonna happen really. Not happen really on that front, to be honest. But to round off, to move on to the next topic, obviously the big question: did Brisbane shoot themselves in the foot? Probably yes, they did. On what counts, probably not only from after Kane Coleman's injury, but also structurally, and also I think. So I think Brisbane as well. I think there's a lot of concern about the two of last year's grand finalists. But as I said, I'm not overly worried about them. To be honest, I think they just cannot catch a break. They just cannot catch a goddamn break. I mean, 2 point loss in the grand final. And then a 1 point loss in their opening game down at the Gabba again against the rival of Collingwood's in the Blue Baggers. But it was very pleasing to see a lot of Carlton fans happy, in particular Dan Gorringe. He absolutely went ballistic at the final siren, and he called Brisbane for his chokers. Like, to be fair, yeah, it was justified. They did choke. They did choke away a 46-point lead. So yeah. But anyways, moving on to the other game that was on Saturday that I watched from its entirety, especially the first half. And the question remains is, was Richmond's first half against the Gold Coast Suns one of the worst we've ever seen? I think right up there with the worst first half. Excuse me. Right up there with the worst first half. Yeah, probably you'll ever see, to be honest. I mean, and the stats really stack up for themselves. I mean, the scoreboard shows that as well. I mean, obviously, Shea Bolton kicked the first goal of the game. Kicked the first goal of the game about just over 90 seconds in. But other than that, then afterwards, that was all the Gold Coast Suns under new coach Damien Hardwick, a former Richmond coach, to be honest, and which is true, and there was so many problems for the whole facet, especially their midfield and their backs. I mean, we're not going to talk about their forwards because it wasn't in there long enough for them to see, which Richmond fans, you can't basically get pissed off at me for saying that because it's true. We didn't see much of their freaking forward line, including Jacob Kaczynski, to be honest. But I think, for me, at least here, But for me at least here, I mean, they were just so open in their back line. I mean, not only in the first half, but afterwards at some points in the second half as well. I mean, Dylan Grimes kicked it down the full, gave away a 50-metre penalty, which obviously ended in a goal early in that last quarter. Was it early in the last? Was it early in the last quarter? I'm trying to find that out, to be honest. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. I think it was sometime in the last quarter. I think it just gave away a stupid 50-metre penalty. Like guys like Taranto, Prestia, Short, all their star players, they didn't use the ball well at all last Saturday afternoon. And to be honest, their defense is what's the old saying about? What's the old saying? I know it's about rules football, but what's the old saying in soccer? Attack wins your games, defense wins your championships. And Richmond's defense on Saturday afternoon was absolutely, in that first half, shocking. Absolutely shocking. Of course you had their defenders turning the ball over in their back half. You had Josh Gibcus, who was, to be honest, out of his depth against Ben King and Jack Lukosius, let's put it that way. I mean, they're small defenders let guys like Malcolm Roses and all that do what they're like for most of the day. To be honest, except for the third quarter, obviously, but to be honest, that's just not good. That's just not good enough for him, especially that performance under a new coach in Adam Uze, who hopefully he has great success over at Richmond Football Club. But still, that sort of performance, like the one thing that nobody's talking about, is that they're all talking about the 11 straight goals talked about the 11 straight goals, and obviously the fact that's Gold Coast's biggest halftime lead in their history. The one thing also that nobody's pointed out is that Gold Coast, from when Shea Bolton kicked the first goal of the game to Maurice Rowley's behind at the 24, which was, as I said, just over 90 seconds into the game, to when Maurice Rowley kicked the point at the 24th minute mark of the second term. From that space on, from between that, Gold Coast had 18 consecutive / unanswered scoring shots. That's one thing that nobody's talked about. And even by the time the 18th scoring shot went through, I was like, this is getting freaking out of control. This is gonna get out of control. It's already getting out of control. It's already getting ugly. By the time I ran out of superlatives about this game, to be honest. To Richmond's credit, they did fought back in the third quarter. But it seemed like the goal, that 50-meter penalty early in the last quarter, really did hurt them. To be honest, they really did kill them, and it was just, from when Roses kicked his third, they were just crying out for the end of the game. They was crying out for the siren to sound, to be honest, and that's all what happened. And in the end, they came away. And they were lucky when Roses kicked his second at the 25-minute mark, the 26-minute mark of the second term, everyone thought, maybe Gold Coast by 100 points. How appropriate would that be in Damien Hardwick's first game? But Richmond did make a game of it. But their comeback in the third quarter was a bit too late, to be honest, and their boys in the first half really did let them down, to be honest, and then by the time Roses kicked his goal, they just kicked his third. They just wanted the siren to sound, and it did, and yeah, so yeah, there you go. Really, that was it. Really on that front, and then obviously Footy Classified talked about this as well. Obviously their aging stars obviously are a big issue as well. I mean, you got the likes. You got in this side. You got the likes of Dylan Grimes is there. You got there was like. Cameron McIntosh. You got the likes of Nathan Broad. You got Marlon Pickett. Those guys will have serious questions about their futures at the end of the year, judging by I know it's only one performance, but still, yeah, and back on the whole thing. I mean, there was one play throughout that game where I'm trying to figure out which one would it be. I think it was when King. It was when King got. It was when King got his third. And this basically summed up their first half. Richmond was, tap out, straight to Rao, who will most likely get the free Brownlow votes for this game. Like if for someone at 20, if he doesn't get the free Brownlow votes, I'm calling absolute BS on that shit. If someone who got 33 touches and 20 clearances doesn't get the free Brownlow votes, I don't know what will. So yeah, but I mean, I think it was to Rao. Thompson Dow he's as Kane Corn said as well on Monday night. He's not ready to be a full-time inside midfielder, to be honest. Just gave Rao too much space. Just ran forward. And then one thing I also noticed is I said about Josh Gitkus being out of his depth, and this was the proof in it, because he gave Ben King way too much space. Way too much space. It was just for Ben King, it would have been like, too easy. Look at this guy over here giving me space too easy. Running, boom. Taking a mark, pluck it, took the mark, kicked the goal, another one, and Gibcus, he was okay after halftime, but to be honest, yeah, to be honest, mostly he was out of his depth playing against, especially against King, but also playing against Lukosius. And if you're that playing against someone like those two who proved last year when they kicked 79 goals between them, like it was. I was surprised that Ben King actually kicked 40 he kicked 40 goals last year, coming off an ACL injury that kept him out for all 2022, which was surprising to me. But as I said, they both combined for 79 goals between them. Like, you can't do that against a side like that. Like if they're doing that, just imagine. I mean, Curnow Mackay, as I'm recording this on Wednesday, tomorrow night will have a field day. Especially Curnow, if it's true, if he's going to line up on Gitgis, because he'll look at it and go, I'm going to have an absolute field day tonight, field night tonight, tomorrow night. So that's the real concern for me, to be honest. But you have to give some credit to Gold Coast Suns. I mean, you got, of course, Rao, Anderson, and Miller were fantastic. Lukosius and King were doing their thing. Rosas, Ainsworth, running amok. Newborough's finest, Sam Flanders was doing his thing. Sam Flanders was doing his thing. But yeah. So it was really good as well. I mean, and of course the back line. It's probably the most underrated. It has to be one of the most underrated back lines the league has. I mean, you got the likes of Ballard, you got Collins, you got Powell in there. Who else is there? Who else is there that played on the weekend? If I look here, I mean, you got Euland, you got Butterick as well. You had David Swallow that was in. That was it's probably most likely going to spend some time in there this year. Obviously being the back end of his career, but yeah, and it was pretty great. It was a great time to start the season really for Gold Coast, and hopefully that spurs them on. Hopefully into their round one match, which is going to be which I think is going to be entertaining one against the Adelaide Crows against their former teammate in against that former player in Isaac Rankin and also with Tex and Ben Keys and Laird and Dawson. I can't wait to see how they go. How this midfield of Rao, Anderson, Miller go against that sort of midfield of the Crows. I can't wait to see that really. Then now finally moving on from the AFL, we got you got Brody Grundy, who was back in business, ladies and gentlemen, on Thursday night with an impressive display against the one and only Max Gawn. Against the one and only Max Gawn last night. Last Thursday night. Look at his numbers here. If I could see here, I mean, his numbers were just incredible, to be honest. I mean, if I can actually get here we go. You got 23 touches. You got 33 hit outs. He had 33 hit outs. He had 9 clearances as well, just to add to that as well. he spent 78% on the ground, which was massive, to be honest. For him, 33 hit-outs, 6 tackles as well. He had a fantastic game. I won't be surprised if he's in the Brownlow votes, to be honest, in this game. To be honest, the big question is: are we seeing the Brodie Grundy of 2019, where he was, where we all know he was just absolutely a beast, to be honest. I mean, Brodie Grundy, here we go. So yeah. 2019. He was absolutely. Of course he won. I think he won the. I think he was. Yeah. He was All Australian in 2018 and 2019. So that sort of Brodie Grundy is he back at Lee, and also the same one that won the equal best and fairest for Collingwood in 2018. Is that back after one game? We still at this point, yes, but we need to. But we'll find out against his old mob in Collingwood on Friday night. That is he really back to that form? Really back to that form and show Collingwood maybe they shouldn't have traded him a few years ago. So yeah, but it's really, I think for me, Grundy, it's a bit strange actually with Grundy. Because we all know of his move from from Collingwood to Melbourne in 2022, and it was funny how Max Gawn said, please come to us. This is gonna work. This is gonna work. This and this and this and this and this and that and that and that, this and that. And I'm like, and then eventually, it lasted half the season. It didn't work. And also, by the way, and this was how they saw Grundy as well. They just in an important final, which they eventually lost in a semi-final, they opted to choose Josh Shackey for Brodie Grundy. Like that's weird. That's strange, and it was not surprising that he was the one, and not surprisingly here. Last year. He averaged normally for his career he averages barely a goal a game. To be honest, last year he averaged half a goal a game. To be honest, last year, and and the reason being because he didn't play that much. To be honest, he was mostly playing mostly played either ruck or either a bit in the ruck or mostly forward. And then now obviously that didn't work. Obviously, that was the big talk throughout the trade period, was him going to Sydney, with rumour going to Sydney, which actually was true. He ended up going to Sydney, and Melbourne ruining that because for back-to-back years, for 3 years straight, Melbourne have had a ruckman with Gawn. Of course, in 21 and 22, that was with Luke Jackson. Then he left to go to Fremantle. Then they brought in Brodie Grundy, which was hopefully their solution. Hopefully their ticket to the promised land. That didn't happen, and now Gawn's on his own. He's on his own now, and which is bloody all strange, really. Because, to be honest, yeah, it was sort of that, really, to be honest. But yeah, it was pretty well. It was pretty, sort of ugly at the end of the day, really, for that on that front. To be honest, I mean, yeah. Yeah. It's just the way that they treated Grundy throughout that season was, they just thought that turning a ruckman into a key forward would do the trick. Didn't work, and clearly, Brodie Grundy is going to big fu, going to a big fu to Melbourne and to Max Gawn on last Thursday night, and absolutely tore him a new one. So as I said, we'll find out about is the 2018-2019 Brodie Grundy back. We'll find out on Thursday on this Friday night. There. Switching gears now to the NRL. Switching gears now to the NRL. Obviously we had the two Las Vegas games. Which of course the first match, which was Manly up against South, which ended in them winning 30 in a high scoring game, 36-24. With obviously editing tries to Okayatsu, if you say it. Jason Say, Lachlan Croker, Ben Trebojevic, Ruben Garrick, and new Manly signing Luke Brooks, who previously played for the West Tigers. Not surprisingly, Ruben Garrick was 6 and 6 in terms of conversions. And then it was 6 tries to 5. Obviously Kenner, with tries from Kenner, Gagai, Latrell Mitchell, Alex Johnston, and Kenner getting a double near the end of the game. With both conversions, 2 from 5 compared to 6 from 6, really, for the Rabbitohs, really, on that front. But on that front. Then the second game, of course, the Sydney Roosters and the Brisbane Broncos have ended in the Roosters winning it with their new look side 20-10. Of course, free tries all from the same from Manu, Poga and Victor Radley. 2 of them for the Broncos were Mariner and from fullback Reece Walsh. 3 from 3 from the conversions for Sam Walker, while it was 1 from 2 from conversions for Adam Reynolds, as well, with Sam Walker adding also a penalty goal to that mix as well. And then as well to the first day games, to the games this past weekend. The Raiders surprising everyone at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle with a 28-12 win over the Knights. The Friday night games, speaking of shock, it was Cronulla silencing the crowd at Go Media Stadium, aka Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland, upsetting the Warriors 16-12. Then the Friday night game at Amy Park, the Storm's first game of the season. And the streak lives. The round 1 streak lives on somehow against the reigning premiers against reigning premiers Penrith Panthers in a very low scoring game, 8 points to nil. So yeah. Then we move on to the two Saturday games. The Parramatta Eels smashing the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs at CommBank Stadium, 26 points to 8. Then the game on the Saturday night. Speaking of thumping, it was a thumping over at the Gold Coast, but not for the team you expect. And we all thought it was probably going to be the Titans thumping the Dragons, but it was actually the other way around. It was the Dragons beating the Titans 28-4. Jesus Christ! And then the last game of round one, at Suncorp Stadium on the Sunday afternoon was one of the few Queensland derbies between the Dolphins and the North Queensland Cowboys, which ended in a victory to the Cowboys, 43 points to 18. So the ladder here, obviously, not surprisingly, the Cowboys and the Dragons, obviously, top of the table, obviously, with their big wins, over the weekend. Not surprisingly, the Titans and the Dolphins are at the bottom of the pile with those losses there. So fairly interesting. Coming off of that, coming off of those games last week. So yeah, obviously I forgot to mention this in my predictor, but going to the Gold Coast Titans, it's so of course same as the Gold Coast Suns with the Gold Coast AFL side with the Suns. Titans have got a new coach on board in the form of former Premiership coach in Des Hasler, who previously led to Manly's title in 2008, and then obviously led the Bulldogs to the 2012 and 2014 grand finals. I think it was 2014. I think he was coaching 2014 when the Bulldogs made it to the grand final. There, got beaten by South Sydney, but yeah. And probably everyone thought, this Titans going to be taking the promised land, maybe make finals there. That sort of didn't happen. That didn't happen in a way. Of course, as I said, 28 points to 4 loss to the Dragons, which some of which did consider them to finish on the bottom of the ladder. Ouch. In a way, that's all I can say about that is ouch. A big ouch in a way. So that was pretty much that in a way. To be honest, and it's gonna get and it gets worse as well, which I'll get to the suspensions in a bit as well. Moving on to the Storm game, obviously, of course, you guys know I am a massive Storm fan. I'm a massive Melbourne Storm fan, not surprisingly, and I wasn't backing the Storm to get over the top of the Panthers, to be honest. Of course, being the 3-time reigning premiers that they are over at Penrith. But they did well. They did very well and some by keeping the reigning premiers to donuts. Keeping them to donuts. Just how sweet it is. To be honest, how sweet it is. The streak lives. The round 1 streak lives, ladies and gentlemen. So let's just give that up now because if Penrith can't conquer the streak, it can't conquer the round 1 streak, who else? I don't think there's going to be any hope. Going to be any hope for any team, possibly, unless unless they decide to put us unless the NRL that they are decides next year to go, oh, we'll give you Penrith again, but this time in Penrith, just to make matters worse. You never know. But there was some others. The defensive display, from what I've heard, was fantastic. Obviously, from what I've heard, they were all the most of the second half. From what I heard, was basically the ball was canned out in near the Storm's own try line. So it was basically all Penrith's ball, and they frustrated them all night long. But there was other things as well. I noticed that that Bellamy has put Nick Meaney into the position. Trying to see the lineup. Let me try and pull up the lineup here. Trying to pull up the team list here. They put. I saw that they put Nick Meaney in the centre. Normally when Ryan Pappenhausen, my boy, who was back last week, back this week, when he was out, I mean, normally Nick Meaney would be the one that would have the number one jersey on. But oh shit, sorry about that. Just knocked over the knocked over the tripod there, but we'll move on. So I did see that Nick Meaney did move into the centres this time, and I think that'll be a good move. That'll be the only way to have both Pappenhausen and Meaney in the same team. That'd probably be the only way to go about it, to be honest. And it was also an important win because they had to know someone by the name of Cameron Munster, and because obviously him being out due to obviously a groin injury, which I'll talk about in a bit, obviously, but yeah, so he wasn't there, obviously, and that's great signs for all us for us Storm fans to basically go, yeah, we have one of the best, at his best, one of the best players in the NRL going around, not just one of the best 5'8", but one of the best players in the league out due to injury, and we still win. So yeah, but as the old saying goes, it's best to win with him there, to be honest. But hopefully he'll be back at some stage. I mean, and it wasn't this side that they beat. It wasn't like it was like second tier side. It was most of their Premiership core. I mean, you had Dylan Edwards in there. You had Taylor May. You had Brian Tuttle in there. You got the outgoing Jerome Luai. You got the best player there is in Nathan Cleary, as well. You got Leota. You got Fisher Harris. You got Martin. You got Isaiah Yeo. You got Eisenhuth in there as well, and also to be coached by Ivan Cleary as well. That would be massive, to be honest. And Bellamy came out on top, obviously, like he's done throughout most of his career. So yeah, that's but yeah, so no more stabilities really to come out of that game, really, for on that front. But yeah, so next up, we're going to move on to injuries. That was around this weekend. Obviously, firstly, let's quickly go on to AFL. Obviously, the two big ones being Sam Doherty and Kadeem Coleman. Coleman. When it was in real time, I didn't feel it was that bad. But when I first saw the slow-mo of when he hyperextended his knee, I was like, oh, that looks bad. that looks bad. That looks worse in slow mo than it is in real time, because you won't get to see it in real time. And immediately I also said to myself, what does that remind me of as an Essendon fan? And it went back to, I remember very back in the 80s, I think it was 84, when Paul Salmon did his knee when heroically against Collingwood, when he was on his way to a 100-goal season that year, and basically did the same thing pretty much, and what Coleman did, and that ruled him out for about a year. So yeah, I'm not saying that would be the same, but it just reminded me of that pretty much, and and then Sam Doherty was it was sad, obviously, that it was just a innocuous accident, and even he said, it was just basically maybe just a scan to. And even the club thought he might have jarred his knee That was unknown. They were about the ACL injury, and then in Danny Green's scans, it was confirmed he had torn his ACL or ruptured his ACL, which is his third ACL. I think anybody could correct me in the comments. I think it was the two others were to his left knee, and I think this one was on his right knee on the weekend, I think. Or it might be the other way around. I think it might be two on the right, and then this one's on the left. I think yeah, it might be. I don't know. But yeah, those are the two that are known there. But others as well. I mean, Jake Bowie is also going to be set to be a very lengthy stint on the sidelines after he injured his collarbone, which we all thought it was basically a shoulder injury or dislocated shoulder. It turned out it was a broken broken collarbone. He'll be out for a lengthy period. It hasn't been announced yet. I think it hasn't been announced yet what time it'll be, how it's time to be out. And then on Saturday night you had Callum Ward. He injured his AC joint in his shoulder, and he'll be also sent for a long stint on the sidelines there as well. So now to the NRL, and there was a load of injuries that came out of round one. I mean, first of all, it's the Eel Star, star player, obviously, in Mitchell Moses. Obviously, there was concerns about a groin injury, but that caused a scare throughout all the fans connected to Parramatta. But it's all fine now. He was cleared of that, and throughout the week, and he will play this week against Penrith, which is going to be a massive game considering how Penrith were kept the donuts against Melbourne, and then basically the Eels just smashed the Bulldogs to smithereens. Can't wait for that to happen. A couple of injuries to report from the Dolphins. Connolly Liamu is also going to be out for a long period. After dislocating his kneecap during the loss against the Cowboys, and to make matters worse as well, Ray Stone during Sunday afternoon's game, it's failed his HIA, which stands for by the way head injury assessment, and will set to miss round 2 against the Dragons. So yeah, and for the Bulldogs fans, after their absolute caning against their rivals in Parramatta, got even worse when their star winger in the Fox, Josh Addo-Carr, suffered a fractured shoulder. It suffered a fractured shoulder and also an AC joint injury in that shoulder as well. But it's not as serious as the fractured shoulder itself. It's reported that is going to be set to miss 2 to 4 weeks with that injury. So it looks like the Bulldogs start of the season might get me even tougher without him, to be honest. But yeah. The Dragons, obviously, before the game, it was before the game against the Dragons, obviously ended in a disappointing loss. Their playmaker Kieran Foran was ruled out with a calf injury, and it was confirmed by the club that he will be back for the third round against the Bulldogs after the Titans' first bye of the season, which is in round 2, by the way. So yeah. Several injuries to report out of that game in Auckland between the Warriors and Cronulla. To the Warriors first, Wade Egan suffered an elbow injury, but was unable to return. Was unable to return after he had the injury. But by this time, maybe the scans have come in and maybe we'll know how he's out for. But at the time of writing these down, we still don't know. We don't know really on that front. And also, back rower Kurt Capewell also suffered a rib injury, but he was able to finish out the game. And at this point, he will play in round 2 again in this week against the Melbourne Storm. Sharks were also hit by an injury bug this week. Also, Siofa Talakai and Ronaldo Metallo also both of them picked up ankle concerns. Ronaldo Militano will be monitored throughout this week, and then Talakai he's past fit to play in the second round against the Bulldogs. Against the Bulldogs. Against the Bulldogs. I just had to recheck that for a second. And then obviously with the Dragons, Blake Laurie, he missed the clash against the Titans. So I probably didn't need him because obviously they smashed the Titans. To pick up a rib injury, but he will be back for the Dragons clash this week against the Dolphins. The most well-known one is obviously Cameron Munster. Cam Munster, missing the game this week last week against Penrith with a groin injury, and his status of coming back is uncertain as of this time. A couple of injuries to report out of the Newcastle camp, with Henry Tuila suffering a quad strain, which also his status is also unclear as to when he's going to come back. Raiders hooker Danny Levi also suffered during the game a corked quad, but and it was also said that he didn't came back in the game, but he's expected to be fit for the round 2 game against the West Tigers. To the games also been played at Las Vegas. I mean, a big blow from at the time from the Broncos was Adam Reynolds sustaining a knee injury during the Vegas game against the Roosters, but because of the 11-day turnaround from the Vegas game, from their Vegas game in Vegas, he will be fit to play against the Rabbitohs in round 2, which is going to be a mouth-watering clash, one of many in round 2, to be honest. Brendan Piakura, he failed his HIA during the game in Vegas, and will undergo concussion protocols during this week. And then in a sour note for Manly in their win over the Rabbitohs, their star winger Jason Sabe, late on in the game, that picked up a hamstring injury, and it's still also uncertain as to when he is going to be out for. To be honest, there were now to suspensions. There were a couple of suspensions during the a couple of suspensions. One which was announced only just this weekend, just 24 hours ago, which we'll get to that in a sec. Of course, Titans big man, big Tino Fasa Sumaawi. I fancy say it. I was gonna say call him Big Tino because he is. He was suspended for 2 games for a grade 1 shoulder charge, and then I thought that was all until 24 hours ago when Spencer Linu of the Sydney Roosters was suspended for 8 games for a racial slur directed at Broncos 5'8" Ezra Mam. That was it was because he called because Leonard called him a monkey. So yeah, and to be honest, my response to that is you just don't say that. Please, you just don't say that to someone. Don't say that to an Aboriginal. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're Australian or if you're an Islander. You just can't say that. Let's put it that way. Lastly, my last topic here is the big question here: was AFL Round 0 and the Las Vegas games for the NRL successful? And I think based on crowds here, I mean, for Round 0, I think the main objective was to have sellout games over at Sydney, over in Queensland, especially at Sydney, because they've been dwindling over the last few years, and it showed. I mean, for Round 0, I mean. At the Sydney Melbourne game, there was 40,012, which was, fun fact, it was the 13th time that the SCG had hosted a 40,000 plus crowd for an AFL game. And then the Friday night at Brisbane and Carlton, which is a fun fact as well. It's the first time since 2015 that the the Gabba had hosted a 30,000 plus crowd for an opening round game, which is surprising. I think it was in 2015. I think that was against Collingwood as well. The first game when Dane Beams got traded from Collingwood to Brisbane, to be honest, and then of course the Gold Coast Richmond game, 22,068 people. It was the biggest crowd for a game that didn't feature Collingwood, and it was a performance that Gold Coast needed. I mean, the past few times that they've had sellout crowds over Carrara, they had just born shit, but this time they didn't. So it was fantastic, really, for them. And then Giants, and then GWS and Collingwood. That also, it was the biggest, by a country mile, the biggest opening round crowd that it's had over at Sydney Showgrounds. With the previous record being 17,000, just over 17,000 people were there when GWS won for the first time against the Sydney Swans back in 2014. So yeah, and then on to the Vegas games. Like, when it was first announced, to be honest, I thought that as the security on my house just went off there for a second. I thought, to be honest, that I don't know. I thought when it was first announced, I thought, I don't know. Don't know about this. To be honest, about this move. To be honest, it's gonna probably cost. It's what I thought originally was gonna be. It's gonna be a crowd of what 8,000 people in a big stadium like it is at Allegiant Stadium, where it's hosted, like Super Bowls, that sort of stuff. And I'm like, but in credit to the NRL, they did advertise it very well. They did advertised it very well, and even some players even met some. Like there was even Reece Walsh and that were going to NBA games, taking photos with NBA players, with some NFL and NBA players, with their names on their with the NRL jerseys and sort of stuff. So it was very well publicised, really, and it was really positive comments that came out for Americans that experienced rugby league for the first time. And at the end of the day, and for both games, they're not having over 40,500, almost 41,000 people that were there, which was surprising. Which was a little bit surprising. I thought my first assumption about this when it first announced was, we're gonna get 8,000 people, as I said. And then when it was first advertised, I thought, maybe we might get get 40,000, maybe 50,000. That might be pushing it, but still, I thought that would be the case there. But 40,000. I hope that they decide to do this next year. Hopefully they do decide to do this next year. Hopefully they do. Hopefully that they do. They do that. It's a shame that that Queensland has a contract for Magic Round, because I think it'll be a fantastic idea, to be honest, to have all rounds and matches being played at Allegiant Stadium. That would probably be the NRL's next move, is to have a full round of matches, like have 16 playing teams, all 8 matches, all played in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. I think that is probably have only 2 matches for now, but I think that's the long-term goal, to have all 8 games of a round of the NRL in Vegas, to be honest. So yeah, that's probably their plans, probably, for that front. But yeah, so that's it. That's pretty much it, and that's probably the end of this video, to be honest. So the first episode down, many more to come over the course of 2024, and it's going to be absolutely massive. Now I'm going to be talking about NRL now. So like this video, shares to anybody who's an AFL fan or an NRL fan, or if you're a Richmond fan or a Melbourne Storm fan. Comment down below what were your thoughts on this from this past weekend, from both an AFL perspective and an NRL perspective. I want to see thoughts and opinions and that sort of stuff. And then lastly, somewhere down there, click on the big red button which is labeled subscribe. But until next time, guys, I'll see yous all later.